Welcome back to Smoking and Toasting. We are so glad to have you here for show number 140. And I just wanted to mention we had a wonderful time on that the boat trip where the boat didn't sail. We had a blast, though. and so I just wanted to mention that the guys at Maduro's Cigar Lounge in League City, Texas, they're great people. They love cigars. They do great events at the lounge and shop. But this is something really special. They're going to do another one, so I'm sure you can get on their email list just by calling or emailing them. Mm-hmm. And you might want to come to this if you are in the vicinity, because these guys, they really throw a nice party. And I'm told that next time there may be a different captain, and he may actually make it to the boat, and the boat may sail.
One of the cool things, like I love the way that whole party flowed, because you pull up. First off, I was standing in a parking lot waiting for you guys because they weren't letting anyone on the boat until right at 6 o'clock. Okay, so the gate was closed and nobody's on. So I was just standing in a parking lot, and my wife had some of the little cigars that she keeps in her purse, and so I was smoking that, and then you came up, and the next thing you know, we're all just kind of hanging out in the parking lot in this awesome anticipation of the party.
It was almost like tailgating.
Right, right. And so then as soon as we're let in, it's open bar for an hour.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I can damage a bar in an hour.
Oh, yeah, and you did, sir.
I did my darndest.
But the other thing to mention, I don't know where they got the food catered from, but it was
barbecue.
Some damn fine barbecue.
That barbecue was so good.
Was
the
delicious.
Chicken was so
and
moist.
And I've had barbecue from all over Texas. So I've had great barbecue. I've had plenty of mediocre barbecue. This was great barbecue.
It was great barbecue. The sauce was so good.
Yep,
so good. The sausage was outstanding, too.
Yes, it was. I kept going back for more and more. That it was so good. All right. Cigar Aficionado released back on April 25th a really nice little list of 7 great cigars for under $7. Now, I'm not a person that likes to spend a lot of money on cigars. And Cigar Aficionado seems to really, let's be honest, they seem to really kind of lean towards the more expensive.
The pricier stuff.
Yeah, the pricier stuff.
I love lists like this.
So when they do a list like this, I really like to pay attention because I know their standards are very high. And so let's see what they say. Price doesn't factor into the score, they say, although showing that shows that you don't always need to spend big to get a great smoke. So these are cigars that scored really well in their normal testing up against the maybe other more expensive cigars. Right. The first one on their list is the Romeo and Julieta 1875 Nicaragua Bully. It scored 90 points. Retail on it
just review that one
is
like a couple weeks ago?
6.80. Yes, and I have one of these in my humidor. I used to have 2 of them in my humidor. Smoked one and enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, really, really good. I think you gave it quite the good review yourself, I recall. The next one is the 720 4 Factory 57 Dog Walker. That's a lot of different numbers.
That's one that I had that I meant to review, and then I just smoked it instead.
It's rolled in Honduras. It uses high priming wrapper grown in Nicaragua's Jalapa Valley, binder from Costa Rica, and a 3-country mix of filler tobaccos, including leaf from Colombia, which is very uncommon in the cigar industry. So this is a really different one, and it's if you look at the band on this, it's a black band with gold and red on it, and it says 7.20.4. And it says factory along the bottom. But this is a $6.50 cigar, and they rated it for 90 points, so that's pretty cool. They also rated, and I have to admit, this is not a cigar that I would generally walk into a humidor and buy. The Macanudo Café Petite Corona, they rated it 90 points. It's $6.19 suggested retail, and it's the classic Macanudo.
You know, I always overlook Macanudos.
I do
every
too.
Once in a very long while I have one. I go, you know what? There's a reason they're Macanudo.
It's a Connecticut shade wrapper, and they say in their review, although it skews milder, it still offers loads of flavor. And that's what you want in the milder Connecticut cigars, because the ones that are just kind of
mild
flavorless,
bland,
it's not that exciting. At $5.95 suggested retail and scoring 90 points, the Alec Bradley Black Market Punk. Yes, it's a short smoke with an inventive name, and it sports some Panama tobacco in its filler, which is another rarity in homemade cigars.
That's a good cigar with a little bit of an ugly wrapper on it.
Yes,
and I'm not talking about the packaging.
Right.
The wrapper itself is a little ugly.
They like to call it rustic,
Yes.
which is a good way of saying, not real smooth.
It looks all beat up.
Not all gorgeous.
I used that word earlier.
The Fonseca Nicaragua Petite Corona, a $5.30 cigar.
I haven't tried that one.
Scored 88 points. Here's what it says. When the cigar debuted in 2016, it marked the first time that the mainstay Fonseca brand was rolled in Nicaragua. Rolled entirely with Nicaraguan tobaccos, it features tobacco from Esteli and Omatape with a dark Criollo 98 wrapper from Jalapa. And I got to say, it's a good-looking cigar. A little mottled-looking color-wise, but I kind of like that look. And it's got
acid
that
washed?
newer, almost like an acid wash. Yeah, it's got that newer Fonseca band on it, which is nice. The Arturo Fuente Petite Corona at $4.94 scored 87 points. It is the flagship cigar for our Arturo Fuente, just the mainstream Arturo Fuente brand. Dominican tobaccos for binder and filler, and covered with a nice dark.
It's
Cameron.
hard to go wrong with that.
It's hard to go wrong with most Fuente cigars, really. And finally, the Oliva Connecticut Reserve Petite Corona.
No, 100%.
$5.28 suggested retail. Scored 87 points. They say it uses Nicaraguan binder and filler. It's covered in a light Connecticut seed wrapper grown in Ecuador. And one great thing about Olivas is they have construction down.
Yeah, construction is
really
never
do.
an issue.
They really
I don't
do.
know that I've ever had a bad bad construction issue with any
I can't think of any that I ever have. And I really love their latest line. What is that new line called? The Oliva.
The Melanio.
I love
good.
the Melanio.
Yeah,
yes, I was thinking of the Gilberto Oliva.
Oh, the Gilberto.
That's what I was thinking.
Good.
Those lines, they're great, and those are also very inexpensive cigars as well. As now they have pricier Olivas, but those Gilberto Olivas are quite good.
I picked up an Oliva Serie V Maduro.
Those are good. Those are very good.
In a Lancero.
In a Lancero.
I've never seen one before.
I don't know if I've ever had that.
Yeah,
Lancero.
it was good. It was good.
Nice.
Kind of fun.
Well, let's put on the beer cam for a moment. We moved Mr. Twirlygig, so it's a little further for us to reach, but maybe a little nicer to see.
I think it frames Mr. Twirlygig a little better.
And you will see on Mr. Twirlygig right now the beer from Evil Twin Brewing that is called. Let me make sure I get this right because I don't want to mess up. The title's just too good. It is called. I always felt closer to IPAs than I did to people. It's a double dry hopped IPA, and I think it's time to do some tasting, Ian. I'm a little thirsty.
It says, yes, it's double dry hopped with tons of tasty Galaxy, Citra, Simcoe, and Falconer's Flight. Better be ready for this close to perfect India Pale Ale at 7.5%.
So are you saying that they actually put the ingredients of the beer on the label?
That seems a little weird.
Wow. I wonder if Bud Light would ever do that.
Like, you'd think that some of the bigger companies would catch on to that,
Yeah,
right?
you would think they would catch on to that and might mention all the ingredients, actually.
I went on to a
beer.
big beer company rant last week, I think.
Yes, you did. And by the way, it was one of my favorite segments on the show in a very long time. I loved it. You were just on. And I've already talked to several friends about it, and they're like, give us that, Ian, more often, is what they said. People loved you going off on the big beer rant. And while we're on the subject, let me just say, because something you and I talked about a little on the show last week and have talked about extensively off the air, is the whole concept. We were talking about Karbach, which has been bought by AB, as we know, and they as soon as AB came in, they eliminated your favorite beer in the Karbach line, and they took my favorite beer in the Karbach line and started putting less grapefruit in it. I still like it, but I don't like it as much as I used to. And I was just saying, of the beers that they've come out with, have they come out with anything outstanding? Because across the street from them, St. Arnold has come out with some outstanding things
and keeps
doing
it.
But have they come out with anything outstanding? So they have a new beer that is their spiced, like spicy hot beer.
Oh, I think I read something about that.
I'm sorry, I should have done my research and looked it up. My wife bought me one of these when she brought me an assorted six-pack that she does from time to time. Brought it home. It's the worst beer I've ever had. I took 2 sips and poured the rest down the garbage disposal.
Now, wait a second. It's a spicy beer, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what you do next time.
Yeah.
If you ever end up with a spicy beer like that, you can cook your brats in it.
Well, maybe that would work. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not the world's hugest fan of Tabasco. It was like drinking a Tabasco that was a beer.
Oh.
If that makes sense.
Good.
It wasn't
no
good
label.
at all. Like, who came up with this?
Was it No Label or Buffalo Bayou that did the Don Jalapeno?
And, those are not my favorite kind of beers.
It's not really mine either. I bought
but they're
some.
not bad.
But
Like,
here's
you can
what
enjoy them
happened.
for
I
what
took
they
a sip. I drank about a third of the glass, and I went, this is not for me.
Right.
And then I literally put them in a pot and threw some brats in it. And it made badass brats.
Well, maybe that would be a reason to buy this new Karbach beer, but I can't think of another.
For those of you who don't know how to cook brats, you boil them in this awesome beer first, cook them real good, then you take them out of there and you put them on your grill to finish it and give it that nice crispy thing. Oh, man, that's the way you do it.
I just want to mention, I like a lot of the people over there at Karbach. I think they've done great work. Man, come on, guys, impress me. Give me something. Give me a reason to still be excited about what you're doing now that you're owned by AB. Because guess what? I've had some Goose Island since they got acquired by AB that has been phenomenally good. I've had some Wicked Weed since they've been acquired by AB that's been phenomenally good. I've had some Elysian since they've been acquired by AB that's been phenomenally good. Come on, show me something. Show me some love, Karbach. Come on, bring it. You're from my hometown right here.
It seemed to me as well that Karbach was putting out a lot of beers at the time too, and then that took a big step back, and now they're starting to put out.
Yeah,
a
they've
couple
just
more.
released a whole bunch. So, all right, we'll get to some of that. Some of them have got to be good, right? I mean, it's not like they don't know what they're doing over there. So, all right, Ian, we are already partway into tasting an IPA called I've
always felt closer to IPAs
than I do to people. Yes.
IPA,
and it's from Evil Twin Brewing. What say you, my friend?
This could easily just be called the dankness. This is dank. It is very, very dank.
But it's also it's what I might call dank and delicious.
So my first sip of this was a little off-putting because the dank was in a weird spot in the on the palate, but I think that might have been a large part due to drinking that Carnival,
right? Which was a different kind of dank.
Which was way, way different, and a little bit different kind of dank. After my second or third sip of this, because I will persevere.
Yes, you're good like that.
I'm a no beer left behind kind of guy.
I love that. I got some Tabasco beer for you if you're really serious about that commitment. But.
There might be limits. Anyway, but it gets better the more you drink. You know how some beers are okay at first, and then the more you drink it, you're like, this actually is quite the opposite. The more you drink it, the more you like it. I think it takes a minute for your palate to be adjusted to this, because I think it goes after your palate with a wrench, but it's not bad. It's good.
I really like it.
Yeah.
Like, I find it, and I'll deal with some things that are a little hoppier and a little more resinous than you will in general, but I don't find this to be overly hopped.
Okay, so this is hoppy. This is hoppy and ridiculous, but this is not a resinous hoppiness. This is not that kind of pine cone bittery kind of thing going on. And like I said, the more I drink this, the more I actually like it. It becomes a flavor that, like after it's sitting on your palate for a while, it really becomes something you crave a little more of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd say good job. Evil Twin is
Twin.
all
yeah,
high.
Yeah, they
high
know
quality.
what they're doing. Before we go to break, couple of comments from the feed. Brian, Wiki Brian checks in and lets me know. Thank you very much. Hella Cella is what that beer is called.
That's right.
From Karbach that I was talking about. And Giordano De Silva checks in and says, much like sours, spicy beers are only good for cooking. I like me some sours.
I love
occasion.
sour beers.
Yeah, but yeah,
sours.
I understand that's an acquired taste for a lot of people.
Gio's a little bit more about porters and stouts, though.
Yeah. Speaking of which, by the way, how'd you like some Bale Breaker Brewing Company Dormancy breakfast stout?
That sounds delicious.
We'll be tasting
Sign
that.
me up for that.
We'll be tasting that in our final segment. Plus, Ian has brought along a whiskey, and we're going to go back to the boat in the next segment, and we're going to talk to a very interesting guy, Brandon Luna with McAuliffe Cigars. Brandon used to be with Nat Sherman, so we'll talk to him about exactly what it was like to be there when that company released their, cigar hating manifesto. That wasn't what it was. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I went too far with that. It wasn't a cigar hating manifesto. They just released that they supported the FDA regulation, which is ridiculous. And we've taken that stand here on the show, while others took a much more careful approach. But we didn't, and I think you'll be interested to see how Brandon approaches the whole thing. So that's coming up in the next segment. You're listening to Smokin' and Toastin', and we'll be right back.
Oh yeah. So yeah, this is like
I really
more.
you like it more, yeah.